introduce myself, and then let's all have a seat maybe up in this area, because we're going to take questions from the audience after we each give our 5-minute presentation. And John, as a moderator, hopefully will keep the questions from being too embarrassing. Anybody? But I will explain why John is here. I think, first off, St. Mark's has been involved in these activities for over 30 years that I recall. We've been having candidate forums here. We've had people from all units of government. One candidate that ran for governor, his name was Rich Whitney. We didn't have a big turnout that night either, unfortunately, because we live in a community, this is Chicago Heights, folks, and we live in a community with 2 cable systems and 3 empty public access channels, and I helped get the second one, so at least the prices, the rates are fair, but it's nothing like my friends from Park Forest over here, where stuff is, their meetings are all online and they're on the cable. That was the Jones system that started this whole, but apparently it did not move too far because we still have a lot of communities around here that do not have transparent government. And the only way you find out about government is by going to meetings. And by the way, I'm Chuck Geringer. If you don't know me, I think everybody in this room knows me. But Laura right here is going to make sure that other people hopefully know all of us before this evening is over. She is with the Chicago Heights Post, which you can see that online at chicagoheightspost.com. And that's something I promised all the candidates that wanted to come and give their platform and bring their literature. We're giving them an opportunity to do this. In the meantime, I got a hold of John, which is an old friend from my watershed area, and we had so many things in common, he couldn't turn me down. So that was how he got involved. And it turns out he knows a lot of friends here as well. And this is really a good friendly party tonight. This is really good. It could have been, because there's a lot of opposition going on in this town, and it's being kept pretty quiet. You don't even see any signs out there, which is sort of good, because we don't have to waste a lot of money on signs, but it means our knuckles are going to get pretty sore in the next few weeks, knocking on doors and trying to remind people to go out and vote. But it's going to take hard work for everybody. And I want to encourage, we have a candidate there that's her first time around. I think I ran 3 or 4 times. My wife will remind me, I'm sure, before I finally won an office in 1992 as the Township Highway Commissioner. And I didn't, at that time, we didn't have very many miles of roads, but at least I had a job, and it was a part-time job because I was working as an engineer in the world's largest sanitary district. And because I'm a ham radio operator, I could coordinate both activities pretty well. I could tune in what those guys were doing and not doing, and also perform my other job. It was sort of like, anyway, amateur radio is a pretty powerful tool when they need to communicate. But that's only the start of it. I'm not going to drag on too much other than Fort Heights was invited, all their trustees. The village of Fort Heights is a very important community, and in my statement, I asked you to take a copy of it and look it over. We right now, I just a couple points I want to point out why I actually invited those candidates. Back in about January 12th, I think it was, we had a council meeting, and I asked the mayor about library services for the village of Fort Heights. And in August of 2013, or April, there was an article in the Tribune about they have not had library services for almost 20 years. And they pay taxes for those library services, but they're not getting them. So the money doesn't ever get to where it's supposed to go for some reason. And it's such a small amount, they only collect $20,000 a year for 2,000 people. That's not enough for them to run their own library. So they're not recognized. But that's only the small part of it. When I looked into it further, there's thousands of people in the Prairie State College School District that do not have library services. So one of my objectives, which I'm also running for Prairie State College, I've never won that seat, but I've won a couple times and I've come pretty close. And I feel good about that one as well. But I think in order to reach the dream that Obama has pointed out for us, which is a K-16 education, which includes community college, we have to have the Paupers University working, and that's the library. And some people don't even go to school. They learn enough in the library to go out and get those licenses and credentials. And if we don't have that opportunity going, shame on us, because we're really not helping the people we need to help. So with that, John, I'm going to turn this over to you. There's only 2 of us candidates here. I'm sorry about that. They all got letters, and 3 or 4 of them called up and said they had other things, but there's still about 20 more I haven't heard from. John, I'll leave it up to you.
Hey, you want to call, whatever you decide makes no difference. As far as stopwatch, I better give it to somebody else when I talk, but I got a stopwatch here.
Thank you, Chuck.
You don't need one for two candidates.
Okay, well, it's up to you. You can say thumbs down.
Thank you, young man, that's a wise observation. Besides Chuck Derringer and Renee Smith, is there anyone else running for office? Okay, I'm going to invite Renee up. The rules I'm going to set out is that she gets up to a half hour, and she can talk for five or 10 minutes and then take questions, or she can take it all 30 minutes if she's got that much to say, and then we'll go to Chuck for his 30 minutes.
There you go. I knew that was coming.
And then it'll be about 9 o'clock, and we'll come back to any questions the audience may still have if you haven't already left. So without further ado, Renee, please come forward and present your case.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for the invitation this evening. I am truly humbled. I want to say first, I want to give honor to God, who is the head of my life. I wanted to be able to share with you all this evening my life story. I raised 3 daughters in Ward 1. I'm the youngest of 4 children. My mother, as well as my dad, is in glory right now, looking down on me. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to be considered to represent Ward 1. I just put a few things, on paper because, you kind of get nervous. When I decided to run, I prayed and I asked God first to give me the okay. He did. I spoke to my adult children and I got the okay again. I mentioned this run to my neighbor, who I love dearly, who has become my campaign manager. And she said, let's do this. Let's take our neighborhoods back. So we started, on this journey for me to become alderman of Ward 1. The vision, I call my campaign Living in the Vision. I'm living there. I have lived in my home since November of '89. And again, raised all my children there, raised some wonderful adult, independent young women, and I thank God for them. I guess when the thought came in my mind about running, I felt like I was going to have to do some public speaking, which I don't think that I do quite well. But we're going to just trust God on this, just like I'm trusting God for this run and this win. I shared with one of the neighbors, we've been going door to door. We've been doing, we didn't have it wasn't written in stone how we should go about it, but I have actually developed some meaningful relationships with my neighbors. In raising my children, I felt as though Beacon Hill, which I tell everyone I live in Chicago Heights. And they tell me I live in Beacon Hill. So I live in the Beacon Hill area of Chicago Heights. And I love my little house. And actually, the neighborhood, I've seen so much, and it's not good. And I feel as though, in deciding to run, I felt as though a change was needed. The vision that I have for Beacon Hill, my home, my place I call home, I feel like someone needs to do it. When I first started going out and talking to the neighbors, meeting my neighbors and all of that, I shared with a few of the neighbors the long the neighbors who've been there a long time, they shared with me the loyalty that they had with my opponent. You know, and I understood, I respect the loyalty that they have, but change is needed. You know, I've called Chicago Heights on a number of occasions. I see certain areas of Chicago Heights, they have signs, we call the police. I'm one of those people. I will call if I see something that does not look right, you know, but we need a better relationship with the policemen and, you know, people in Chicago Heights. And excuse me, because I'm all over the place because I am nervous. This is my first time. But I want to go back to when I purchased my home in Chicago Heights. I wanted a place that I could raise my 3 daughters, which I had 2 at the time. Willie White was my alderman, and I used to just go vote for Willie White because I loved him as a person. I didn't know what the function of an alderman was, but I know Willie White gave turkey. You can get a turkey or a ham. I would go get a turkey or a ham and bless someone else with that turkey or that ham. That's what I thought the function of the alderman was. In research, I see that there is more. There is more that's required of the alderman, and I'm looking forward to, meeting and superseding that challenge. I decided to run. This is why I decided to run. I decided to run after taking a good look at my neighborhood and seeing just how much it has changed in the past 26 years. I have had the privilege of seeing Ward 1 misrepresented at the city council meetings. I mean, I guess I wanted to learn the language. I sat, I watched. The mayor gave the floor to the alderman. Do you have anything to report? This is around Christmas time. Everyone had something to report except Ward 1. I mean, I guess I don't want to throw a stone. I was sharing with the host here this evening that I want God to bless me, and I've been praying that He bless me to run a clean campaign. You know, I've seen politicians in the past. Never did I want to be categorized as a politician because I believe and trust and love God with all my heart. And I feel like when politicians can go and slander the other and really I don't want to make any enemies. I love everybody and I want everybody to love everybody. But I feel like being a politician, I want to be a neighbor. I said I don't want to run as a politician. I would like to run as a neighbor. Because in those 26 years that I've lived in my house, I've seen neighbors come and go. I have a mortgage on my home. And I feel like people come and go. And I never really got a chance to develop a relationship with anyone, except one lady across the street from me. And they moved, and their house been vacant since 2003. I called the city. I was trying to purchase the home. Matt Sanchez was supposed to call me back last year. I haven't gotten a call yet. I walked the neighborhoods, myself and my campaign manager, and we have counted over 250 vacant homes within the Beacon Hill area alone. I never knew that Beacon Hill was, I thought Beacon Hill was the only part of Ward 1, if you understand what I'm saying. Because all the meetings are always held at Beacon Hill School. They got a new name for it now, Barack Obama, Michelle, one of the Obamas. So it's, I never knew that Ward 1 was so wide. So long and wide, it's a lot. I'm looking forward to, I've been all over into Olympic Village, behind Wendy's, that whole area. And truly, I have developed relationships with those people. And I always share with them because they say, well, you know, people automatically say, well, what are you going to do? You know, and I don't wanna go and come in front of you and make a whole lot of campaign promises. I just wanna say that I want to be the best alderman that Ward 1 has ever seen. You know, I want to be able to go and be a blessing to the people in my community. I notice how the water bills are steady rising. I want to be able to be a representative. I want to help the young on to the seniors, because one thing that I know, a senior on a fixed income cannot compete with inflation that much. You know, Social Security might give you a little raise, but the water bills are, when I looked at, see, I could go get a second job or not maybe eat out 2 times a week on my job, maybe just eat, you know, to pay the bill, but I feel like I want to be able to be a voice for the youth, on to the seniors in the community, and I want some of the vacancies. I watched my neighborhood just recently, because